Hi, I'm Michelle the Irritable Vegan, and for today's video we're going back to breakfast. Not having time in the morning is the biggest obstacle to eating a decent low FODMAP breakfast. Hopefully these cook-ahead breakfasts can become part of your regular meal prep routine and help you start the morning off right. From hearty savoury flapjacks to protein-packed polenta omelette and a naughty but nice parsnip and pineapple loaf. I hope you enjoy it. Let's start with the savoury flapjacks. To a large mixing bowl, add 200 grams of rolled oats, 200 grams of cooked quinoa, 100 grams of grated carrot, 50 grams of sliced olives, 30 grams of sun-dried tomatoes, 60 grams of crushed walnuts, 30 grams of ground almonds, 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, 2 tablespoons of tomato puree, 1 tablespoon of maple syrup, 1 teaspoon of dried thyme and a generous pinch of salt and pepper. Into a saucepan on low heat, add 100 grams of coconut oil and 1 teaspoon of Vegemite. Allow the mixture to melt slowly but not come to a boil. Stir the Vegemite into the oil until it's melted as best you can. It won't incorporate fully, but this is fine. Pour the melted oil over the oat mixture and stir really well until everything is glossy and sticky. I lined a 15 by 25 cm baking dish with greaseproof paper and added the oat mixture. This gives a thick, dense flapjack with a soft, chewy centre. If you prefer your flapjack firmer with more crunch, use a larger baking dish and spread the mixture thinly. Pat the mixture firmly into the dish using the back of a spoon or palette knife. This helps the flapjack stick together and hold its shape. Bake at 180 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes until golden on top. Whilst the flapjack is still warm, cut it into portions but allow it to fully cool and firm up further before attempting to remove it from the dish. I cut mine into 4 hearty breakfast-sized slabs. 1/4 of this entire recipe is FODMAP safe but very filling, so adjust the serving size according to appetite. This can also be cut into much smaller portions and eaten as a high protein, calorie boosting snack. Once the flapjack has cooled, carefully remove each portion from the dish. It will be lightly flaky and quite delicate, but thanks to the addition of the quinoa should still hold its shape nicely. These flapjacks are not designed to be eaten all at once, but prepped ahead and added into the rotation as part of your weekly meal plan. They can be wrapped in greaseproof paper and frozen for 1 month or stored in a sealed tub in a cool pantry for up to 2 days. I don't recommend storing them in the fridge as they soon go soggy. I serve mine with a cup of almond milk on the side for a hearty, filling breakfast. They are a great on-the-go option to take to work or school and can be flavoured however you like with your favourite herbs and spices. These dense, chewy flapjacks are an entire meal you can fit in your hand and eat on the go. These would be great to prep ahead and take with you as a no-fuss camping or hiking breakfast. Next up, we've got light and fluffy polenta omelettes. Soak 3/4 cup or 120 grams of dry, fine cornmeal with 2 1/4 cups or 560 ml of water overnight. This allows the cornmeal to absorb the water, making it quicker and smoother to cook the next day. To a non-stick pan, add 1 tablespoon of garlic oil, 200 grams of cooked diced white potato, 200 grams of diced firm tofu, 100 grams of diced red bell pepper, and 150 grams of canned drained mushrooms. Add half a teaspoon of smoked paprika, half a teaspoon of cumin and stir fry on a high heat for 5 minutes. Then add 150 grams of fresh diced tomato, 30 grams of spring onion greens and 15 grams of sun-dried tomatoes. Stir fry for 2 minutes, then sprinkle over 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard and half a teaspoon of black salt. Pour in the cornmeal and all of the soaking water and reduce the heat to low. Stir everything together really well and season with black pepper. Continue to stir frequently, just allowing the cornmeal to bubble and blip gently. You want all of the liquid to be absorbed and the mixture to thicken to the texture of soft polenta. Spoon the polenta into a well-oiled muffin tin. This mixture makes between 8 to 10 omelettes and is FODMAP safe or up to half of the whole batch. You can also bake in individual cake tins, which results in a much softer, traditional polenta soufflé style centre and is best eaten warm straight from the oven. Bake the polenta muffins in a preheated oven at 200 degrees Celsius for 20 minutes until golden brown on top. Allow the muffins to cool for at least an hour in the baking tray. This helps them to firm up into more of an omelette texture. The larger soufflé here is just for visual purposes, and as I've already mentioned, it doesn't firm up in the centre and is best eaten right away. These handheld omelettes are designed to be eaten cold as an on-the-go breakfast or snack. Serve them with my homemade low FODMAP ketchup on the side. They'd make a delicious sandwich on something like a Shah low FODMAP ciabatta roll. If you do want to eat them warm, they soften down to resemble a thick tofu scramble and would go perfectly with the homemade hash browns from my potatoes with everything video. They can also be enjoyed for lunch with a big side salad and homemade coleslaw. These polenta omelettes are a fabulous make-ahead alternative for anyone bored with the good old traditional tofu scramble. Store them in the fridge for up to 3 days or freeze wrapped in individual greaseproof paper in a freezer-safe container for up to 3 months. And finally, parsnip and pineapple cake for breakfast. Ooh yeah! Into a large mixing bowl, sift 200 grams of low FODMAP self-raising flour. I use Dove's Farm brand. Sift in 1 teaspoon of baking powder and half a teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda. Add half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, half a teaspoon of ground ginger, half a teaspoon of grated nutmeg and a pinch of salt. Whisk the dry ingredients together until well mixed. In a separate bowl, add 100 grams of caster sugar, the equivalent of 3 eggs made with egg replacement powder. I use the Orgram brand. Pour in 100 grams of vegetable oil and whisk everything together into a smooth paste. Pour the wet ingredients into the centre of the dry and whisk together until no flour is visible. To the thick, lumpy batter, add 200 grams of blended pineapple and half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Whisk this up into a thick, smooth batter, then stir in 200 grams of grated raw parsnip and 2 tablespoons of poppy seeds. Stir the parsnips as best you can through the batter. Then pour the batter into a lined or well-greased loaf tin. Smooth down the surface and bake in a preheated oven at 180 degrees Celsius for 40 minutes until risen and golden brown on top. The loaf is fully set when a clean skewer inserted straight through the middle of the loaf comes out clean, free from sticky batter. Place the cake tin on a wire rack or trivet and allow the loaf to cool completely before removing it from the tin. Once it's fully cooled, the loaf can be cut and stored in a sealed container for up to a week or frozen either whole or in individual slices for up to 3 months. A quarter of this loaf is FODMAP safe, but it's honestly too filling at this serving size. I think to cut it into 6 or 8ths is about right for this dense, moist loaf. If cake for breakfast is a bit of a stretch for you, then it might help you to know that this is much closer in taste and texture to a breakfast muffin rather than a full-on cake. It's perfect for a lazy brunch or office tea party with a cup of my favourite rooibos tea. My preferred way to serve this for breakfast is with a small portion of fresh strawberries and coconut yoghurt. For a hint of added sweetness, toast each slice either in a toaster or under a hot grill and spread with vegan butter, low-fo strawberry jam or drizzle with extra maple syrup. This loaf is deliciously but naturally sweetened with the parsnips and pineapple, so needs much less added sugar than you would usually use for a loaf of this size. I'm personally not a big cake fan, as I often find it overly sweet, which is what I really like about this loaf. If you stick to the recommended serving size of a 6, then it's perfectly safe to add extra strawberries on the side. If you've never tried it before, I highly recommend drizzling over a generous dollop of coconut yogurt. Please tag me over on Instagram if you make any of these cook-ahead breakfasts. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye!